Hey, evening guys. Welcome. I'm delighted to be here this evening and share with you my thoughts on what I think about is the future of this device. In particular, I'm going to be talking to you about when we generate lots and lots of data from this device, what are the kind of things we can actually do. When I say we, I mean brands and marketers and aspiring thought leaders like you guys. So let me start off by asking you guys right at the top of the bat one question. How many of us know where you will be 285 days from now at 2 p.m.? Raise your hands if you know it. Right? So what do we do? Okay. How creepy is that? The reason we do is because of the fact that every time you interact with your mobile device, it is generating data. It's creating a digital trail of data. And people like me put it all together and think about ways to deal with that. Okay? So let's reduce the scope of this a little more and say, how about, let's say, okay, it's not summer anymore, but when you were up for driving to the beach, how many of us would like to know what the traffic would be 3 weeks from now when you're scheduled to drive? Okay. Or how many of you, if you're thinking about passing through your favorite saloon 4 days from now, how many of us might like to actually have a 50% discount coupon? Okay? So the reason I'm just talking about these questions, these are rhetorical questions, the reason is because now it's possible. It's entirely possible. In fact, we are doing it. When we are able to figure out and predict your path movements. And the reason is because no matter how spontaneous you think you are, right, most of us, if not all of us, are very, very predictable in our movements. Okay? We are creatures of habit. And the reason we are creatures of habit is because of a number of reasons which I won't get into. But what that does is that it sort of creates this trail of data for us. Okay? How many of you have heard of the term big data? So raise your hands. Okay? All right, there you go. How many of you have heard the term business analytics? Okay? So what this device lets us do is put all of this together, right? So it lets us put big data and business analytics together and make some really, really interesting insights for marketers and brands. Okay? So next time somebody asks me, well, I'm going to be like taking this decision or this strategy because I believe in it, I tell them, guys, Edward Deming said many years back, right? In God we trust. Everybody else bring data, okay, and make it big data. Okay. So where is all this coming from? How many of us do this? Fess up. Okay. All right. I've done it. If you haven't done this, maybe this. You checked into Foursquare, okay, or Facebook, right? Every time you do stuff like that, right, it's creating a digital trail, okay? Or how many of you have done that? Okay. All right, if you haven't, we are very close to that world where some of us might be doing this, right? But what this is doing is that this one single 4-inch device or 3-inch or 5-inch, depending on your model, it is sort of giving you access to multiple different channels and media, right? If you think about the time we spend on this device today, we spend 127 minutes on an average every day on this device. That is beginning to rival the time we spend on television. On TV, we spend 168 minutes. That's going down, this is going up, right? Whether it's mobile apps or responding to ads or not responding to ads or buying things off your mobile phone. We're not buying cars or houses yet, but we are buying books, we're buying food products, we're buying fashion, retails, et cetera, et cetera. And more interestingly, many of us these days have access to multiple devices, right? So how many of you have a tablet and a smartphone? Okay? And this is only increasing over and over again. So maybe you have a tablet and a smartphone, or a tablet and a laptop, or a smartphone and a laptop, or maybe all three. What we can do today, okay, not 100% accurate, but pretty close, is we can track you as an anonymous user going from device to device, right? So again, what we can do is we can figure out if you're surfing in the evening on your tablet, watching television, it's pretty common. Next morning, you're on your smartphone when you're commuting, and then in the afternoon, you're on your laptop at work. We can track all of that, right? And when we can track that, which means that we can give you meaningful information. We don't want to be like giving you ads that you don't care about. We want to tailor ads for you. We want to tailor products for you, okay? So this is the world we are moving to. And if you think about, at the end of the, in the world of business, we care about top line and bottom line, right? So where is the top line here? Where's the bottom line here? Just look at this. We are spending, there's a $20 billion opportunity in mobile, right? If you look at the bar between how much time we spend and how much money we put in, there's a huge difference here. It's not print, it's not TV, it's not radio, it's not even the internet, it's mobile. Okay? As of January 2014, more than half of the world's internet traffic is going to be coming from mobile devices. Okay? Last year, 40% of emails were opened on mobile devices. Okay? I mean, I could go on and on and on, but the bottom line is there's a huge opportunity here. And that's the kind of world we are headed to. You know, there's no question about it. So what I'll do next is, in the next few minutes, just breeze you through 5 different projects. We're going to take a deep dive into analytics, get our hands dirty, nasty in data, okay? And then kind of give you a sense for what are the kind of things that companies are doing. Okay? Whether it's retail or banking or insurance, everybody is getting into mobile. You know, some more so, some more less, but everybody is there. I tend to work very, very closely with companies, not just here, but also in Europe, South Korea, and China. Korea and China are, you know, by definition, in terms of mobile adoption, ahead of us. So it creates lots and lots of interesting data sets. And then we often look up to them as a crystal ball. In the world of mobile, those 2 countries act as a crystal ball for us. So what's happening there today, we are very likely to see happen in 6 months or a year from now. Okay? So this, you can imagine the kinds of analytics or data-driven decision-making that can happen with this. Okay, so here's a very macro picture of what I'll walk you through, right? I'll start off with the city-level data, which means that I'll show you a project where we track people's travel patterns within a city, okay, from one suburb to another suburb, etc. Then we narrow it down to a certain area. Then we narrow it down to a zip code. Then we narrow it down to, say, sort of the center of the zip code. And then we track people within the store. The reason we can do that, there are multiple reasons. I'll talk about one in particular that applies to what Macy's is beginning to do here. Sooner than later, you will see Macy's on 33rd Street doing what I'll talk about in the next few minutes as well. Okay? And then eventually, we'll get into aisles and packaging as well, which means that when I'm spending 10 seconds more in a certain aisle as opposed to another aisle, that's meaningful information for a brand. Maybe I'm looking at price comparison. So maybe the competitor brand, who I'm not looking at, would be able to send me a targeted coupon and incentivize me to buy that product. Okay? So this is, again, not fiction. This is happening. All right, so this is a project I did in South Korea a couple of years back. So imagine this is some random consumer, okay? So, and just to be perfectly clear, I'm not the NSA, so I have no idea who this person is, okay? In my book, this is some alphanumeric person. I don't care what he or she, what the name is. This person goes from point A to point B, and then from point C, and then back to point A, right? So this could be, A could be home, B could be a client call, C could be an office, and then back home. On another day, the same person goes from A to B, B to C, but instead of coming back to A, he or she goes to D, and then E, and then comes back home, right? So D and E could be another client call, or maybe just a shopping trip, right? So what we are able to do is, because this person is engaged with the device at these particular locations, we're able to figure out where he or she was, right? So whether you're surfing on the net or making a call or sending a text, every single interaction with your phone generates location data, and we're able to get that and then figure out what the travel pattern of this particular person is. Now, sort of extrapolate this on a massive scale, right? Talk about 10 million users over multiple days. We're talking about billions of observations here, right? So what we can do is we can mine all of this contextual data and then figure out what is the probability that person A is likely to be at point C at a certain point in time, okay? X days from now. Why that can be useful? So imagine this, right? So let's say you're L'Oreal, right? You're a cosmetics company, and you know that on a certain day you'll have this massive billboard on Times Square, right? Those electronic billboards, right? Now imagine if you know that so-and-so person is likely to be there at Times Square at that point in time where you'll also show the billboard, then this is a huge opportunity for you to reinforce your offline ad with a targeted mobile promotion coupon, right? So the person is exposed to the L'Oreal's big cosmetic ad on the billboard. At that same point in time, when he or she is there at Times Square, you send him a targeted mobile coupon saying, walk into the L'Oreal store right now, and you get a 30% discount on all products. Okay? What are the chances of this person redeeming something like this? It was an open question, right? So we said, well, it sounds awesome, but let's go ahead and test it. So what we did is we said, look, every advertiser claims that they want the right ad to be shown to the right person at the right location on the right device at the right time, like 5 rights there. How do you get them all right? Well, let's go ahead and test it. So we tested this. We ran randomized experiments, testing, putting 2 things together. We could track who is likely to be at a certain location at a certain point in time, and then at those people, we would send them targeted ads. So it turns out that if you're able to customize and tailor the experience that much, then 41% of people end up buying products the same day, right? So I'm talking about highly targeted, highly customized ads. Those ads tend to work, right? 59% ended up buying, but later, and of them, a third of those mobile site visitors made a store purchase too, right? So not everybody's buying the product on the mobile phone, and that's the world we'll continue to live in. But a third of them went ahead to the store and bought the product. The question the companies asked us, well, who are these guys? Are these some stragglers or some accidental ad clickers? Like, who clicks on mobile ads, right? Many of us in the room might be thinking, I never click on mobile ads, right? So we said, okay, let's look at customer lifetime value, right? If these are your one-time accidental ad clickers and stragglers, it's not that useful. But if these are your highly valuable customer lifetime value customers, then it starts making sense, and it starts making sense for you to invest in this. So we did this analysis, and more than half of the time, it is your high CLV guys who are responding to those highly targeted ads. Okay? So mobile ads, they get a lot of flack for not working, but guys, it works. Okay? We have evidence for that. Then we went to Europe, right? A lot of that was in Korea and China. We went to Europe. We said, okay, so maybe it's a different world out there. People are a lot more privacy conscious out there. People care about their privacy much more over there than over there. So let's go ahead and look at Europe. What happens over there? So there we worked with a number of retailers, mostly in Western Europe and mostly in Germany. And we said, how about the following? The fact is that technology now allows us to geofence you at any point in time, right? So right now, all of you who have your mobile devices ready, if there's any retailer across the street that has the geofencing technology, that retailer can actually figure out that you're located right now in this building, and they can start thinking of interacting with you, right? So we said, how about we do this? We open up, we work with a bunch of retailers in Germany. The 5 cities we worked in was Berlin, Hamburg, Frankfurt, and a couple of others. We said, we design a mobile app for you, right? And the app would real-time sense where you're located. And as you're walking around next to the retailers, all those retailers who have the technology will start sending you highly targeted offers. Those offers will be customized based on location. So for example, when you see over here is, if you can read German, you can see that this gives you some distance. And it also gives you pricing information, right? Now, you might be getting 10% off, right? Because the information they have about you makes them think you would be able to convince them to come to the store with 10%, but maybe the person sitting next to you might be getting more of a discount. Because the important thing is for retailers to figure out how much of a price discount do I give this person to incentivize this person to come to my store, right? So we done a bunch of experiments with these guys. We started getting some really interesting data and interesting insights out of it. We could go back and tell, all right, so if you're Nike, right, and you know that this person is 20 feet away from your store, then on average for a product worth $200, you need to give them an 11% discount to incentivize them to come to your store, right? And so on and so forth. The next thing we did was we went back to Asia now, because in Western Europe, we could target based on location, but what we missed out was we couldn't do it based on time as well, right? So the idea is, look, when you're walking down Bleecker Street on Greenwich, near the village, right? There's a pub and there's a Starbucks coffee. At 2 p.m. in the afternoon on Monday, right? Both of them send you a coupon. Buy 1 Frappuccino, get 1 free. And the pub is saying, get 1 beer, get 1 free. Which one are you more likely to redeem? If you don't want to get wasted on a Monday afternoon, that's it. Right? Most likely the Starbucks. Right? The same offer for the same person at 8 p.m. in the evening, which one are you more likely to redeem? Probably the pub, right? So what happens is context is very critical. It's not just location. Oftentimes we're saying location-based ads and location-based targeting works. Yeah, but it's not the full story. The full story is you've got to combine location with time and then look at people's behavior. So this is what we did in China. We went back to China Mobile and said, we're going to start randomizing experiments where we're able to ascertain what the context is and then look at redemption. And guess what happened? Huge lift, right? So location works, time works, but when you put them both together, the lift is huge. Now, so far I've taken you to the store, and now I say, okay, what happens in the store? Okay. So it turns out that a number of surveys have shown that, look, people are far more likely to react to ads when they are in a shopping mode, right? So if I'm in some stadium watching a sports game, I'm probably not likely to redeem an ad. But if I'm inside the store, where I'm already in the shopping mode, then the chances of redemption should be high, right? So it turns out that Macy's has been working on this, right? And maybe some of you have seen this or read it. It's not installed yet. But when Anna walks into Macy's on December 24th for her Christmas shopping, she will get to see this with her phone. Come in now, and you get a 50% discount or a 30% discount on a pair of shoes. And when Anna's friend walks in, she'll get a different ad, okay? Because what Macy's and retailers like Macy's and Nordstrom in the US and the counterparts overseas are doing is they're sensing. Anytime you walk into the store and your phone is on, they can sense you, the fact that you walked in. And the most interesting part is they have tons and tons of data about us, right? So they can correlate the fact that you just walked in with your prior purchases on Macy's and say, well, the last time you bought a pair of shoes from Macy's was a year back. It's time to upgrade. Okay? So you get this ad. Okay? So this is, and again, guys, this is not fiction. This is fact. I've seen this with my own eyes in Shanghai, in Seoul, and now you will get to see this in Macy's right here. Okay? So we said, all right, guys, so people walk inside a store. On an average, it turns out that we walk about 1,400 feet, okay, in any grocery store. So it turns out also that if you're able to make a person walk an additional 55 feet, right, then we end up spending $1 more. So the idea was, okay, so let's try this. So let's install, once we know the person is inside a store, you're going to send them then these targeted coupons. And then the idea is, can we incentivize them to walk a little more? Because if you make them walk a little more, chances are you will actually make a purchase more. So it turns out also that by strategically promoting like up to 3 categories of products, what that we sense that you are not planning to buy, but we could figure out you are a good customer for it, you can increase unplanned spending by up to 16%. Okay? So right now we are entering a world where, based on the sort of data that you're able to give companies, they're able to figure out which aisle you're spending more time on versus less time on. And the idea is, well, maybe you're spending more time because you're looking at prices, okay? Or maybe you're comparing 2 competing products, okay? So the next generation of these devices and technologies will figure that piece out as well. So if you're engaging in showrooming, how many of us you do showrooming, right? Which is surfing on your mobile device once you're inside a store, right? So in the US, it turns out that 40% of us, when we are inside an offline store, we take our mobile phone out and we look at what? Either prices of the same product in other stores or prices of the same product in the same company's online store or reviews, okay? So when we do this, this is generating data. The product that you're looking for, the competitor of that product can easily get access to this data and say, okay, you're looking at my competition. How about I can steal you, right? Poach you right then and there. So this is, again, the kind of world we're getting into, and this is the world we live in. So that's pretty much all I wanted to share with you in the world of mobile. I'm currently working with 2 projects also with the government in China. And personally, I find this fascinating. The idea is very simple. It is the fact that on an average in Shanghai, the average commuter spends 51 minutes on a public transportation, in a subway or the public bus. And none of these things have connectivity, right? So unless you've got 3G or 4G on your phone, and if you want to spend that money, good. But if you don't, then you're wasting, quote unquote, 51 minutes every day. So the Shanghai government said, how about we install Wi-Fi in all the subways and the public buses in Shanghai and then Tianjin and so on, and then give people connectivity, right? So we are working with these companies to put the infrastructure together, and my job in particular is to be designing the marketing aspect of it, the randomized experiments that we can do. Because once I know you're online, right, I can interact with you real time. I can send you targeted ads because I know the route that the bus is going to take. These are public buses or subways, right? So I know ex ante the route that it'll take. Because it's a smart city and the ticket's also electronic, I know on an average when a person gets on and when he or she gets off. So I'm going to put these two together. I'm going to put up the travel patterns of a person, and I know the route ex ante. I'm going to put them together and say, all the shopping malls that fall under those routes, they are likely to be great entities for giving you targeted offers.